One conversation that I've seen since, well, I guess we really discussed it like 2 weeks ago, is Alex Cooper on Call Her Daddy. It really got me thinking after I saw some of the reactions to
The Chappell interview?
the Chappell Roan episode. Yeah, if you guys want to hear our original takes on the Chappell Roan interview, I'll put a link on the screen right now. But I was listening to, honestly, like 3 different podcasters that I listened to. They talked about her, or YouTubers, whatever. They talked about her, and I didn't realize how much people hated the way that she does her show.
Me neither. Okay, but can I say, because I've watched some as well, and every single one that I've watched, they make fun of the "What's up, Daddy Gang?"
Yeah.
And I didn't know that other people hated that as much as I do, because when I would listen to it to cover whatever we were going to talk about that week, whenever she'd say that, I would get so, like, internally just, like, mad. I'd be like, oh, I hate it.
Back in the day, because I liked her podcast whenever she would talk about sex and, like, give, like, advice or, like, have people tell, like, sexual stories. Like, it was kind of niche and very bizarre, like, how open women were being on the show. That's how the show got so big and blew up. The pivotal moment that I remember was when she got Miley Cyrus to do an interview with her. I mean, that's crazy, to get Miley Cyrus to sit down for a podcast, but she's always been so open sexually about, like, she's just not, I just feel like Miley is so, like, authentic. So she went on the podcast and it was pretty organic, and, like, she talked about sex and stuff, like, which is crazy whenever you think about, like, a celebrity of that, like, stature doing something like that. And then, like, fast forward to now, you've got Kamala Harris on there.
Yeah.
And, like, that whole episode was, like, advertised as,
like, some tell-all crazy
and, like,
exclusive interview.
And talking about reproductive rights. And I, like, was super interested to hear it. I was like, oh, this could be interesting. Kamala Harris on a sex podcast to discuss whatever, like, it was the most boring interview. I'm telling you, I made it like 10 to 15 minutes. And, like, having Kamala Harris on a podcast that's what it brands itself as should have been entertaining from the beginning to the end. Like, not that I expected Kamala Harris to go on there and, like, discuss her favorite sex position, but she is a woman running for president.
Like, it didn't have to seem like we were watching 60 Minutes. You know what I mean?
It was so bad. And
I'm Barbara Walters.
Yeah. I'm sure that, like, they have pre-approved questions for scenarios like that. Another time that I remember Alex Cooper, she basically, like, advertises this stuff like it's about to be this big expose and blah, blah, blah. The best example I remember is, I remember as a Swiftie, we were shaking in our boots for John Mayer's existence whenever Speak Now was about to come out.
Yes, we thought there was going to be some hard-hitting, crazy stuff in there, and it was nothing. It was crickets.
It was a nothing interview. The most juicy thing out of that interview is him saying that after he hooks up with a woman, he likes to sit naked and play guitar for her. And I'll never, like, all I could do in that moment is imagine that woman is Taylor Swift. And you know that she ate that up. But, like...
Yeah, no, she did. She was like, ooh, an artsy boy and he's naked in my bed.
Yeah,
ooh.
Yeah. But I remember she did that freaking John Mayer interview right before Speak Now was coming out. And I was like, oh my God, this man is about to tell his side of the story. That's how she advertised it. And it was a flop.
She always, like, hooks you with something that... It's like she's clickbaiting, but it's, like, actual clickbait, kind of. Like, it's not like, ooh, this is going to happen, but you just make it an exaggerated title, and the thing that you say actually is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
She will, like, say that this is going to be something, and then it's just not that at all.
Not that at all. So the conversation around Chappell Roan and Alex Cooper is... Chappell Roan came off so bad in that interview. Like, I think that was, like, our summary of the whole thing. Like, despite the specific things that she said that everybody on TikTok has a problem with, like, it was just an all-around. Chappell did not come off well. It did not look good on her part. No part of me wants to be her fan after listening to her speak. We don't learn anything else about her. Like, there's just...
We knew everything that she was saying.
Yeah,
already.
There was nothing there. And I really didn't think about it. I was watching Swiftologist, and he was, like, discussing... Because he has a journalist degree. Like, I feel like he has a right to really give an opinion on stuff like this. And... he was just saying that she had full power to, like, dive more into what Chappell was saying and, like, ask.
Chappell was giving sometimes. She was giving things.
Giving different thoughts and ideas for you to take a lane to go with it.
And Alex Cooper would not take any of them. She stayed straight ahead.
Yeah. And then she would just jump to the next question. So Chappell never got to, like, explain herself. And I'm not really defending Chappell either, but... Zach was just pointing out, and I just didn't think about it till I heard him say it, that, like...
that possibly with a good interviewer, that what everybody misconstrued about Chappell could have had clarification. Yeah. In the interview.
Yeah. You know? And, like, one specific thing that he brought up was the comment about mothers. And, like, okay, like, Chappell Roan is from a town like what we're from, you know? Like, it's very common for, like, women our age to not, like, have that much money or, like, be kind of stuck at home with their kids. Like, and... there could be a sense where you would describe that as miserable in some ways, but instead of having a discussion about how most of America is like women and mothers are kind of like neglected and like isolated and things like that, instead of having an interesting conversations as to why they're miserable, Alex...
she just moves on. It's like, what's the most Midwest thing about you?
Yeah, she was like, so what do your friends think about you being famous?
Yeah.
And it really is so, like, just not...
it's like she doesn't listen. Yeah. She's not an active listener. And you need that when you're an interviewer.
Yeah. I also, the week before Chappell's interview came out, she had Ellen Pompeo, Meredith Grey from Grey's Anatomy. And I also watched that one. That's the thing, like, I only watch the interviews on Call Her Daddy whenever it's someone that I really care about. Like, I tried to watch the Ed Sheeran interview, the most boring piece of content that's been put out so far this year.
I don't ever watch her. That Chappell interview was the first full episode I've ever watched from her.
The Miley one was so good. It really, like, made me a fan of her. And I'm telling you, whenever and I understand she's married now. Like, she's not out having crazy, like, sex experiences and stuff anymore. But, like, women are never going to stop having those experiences, and you could continue to make that content. And, like, I feel like she just doesn't make as much money, like, the more explicit it is. But $100 million, is that what her last deal was for? Because the first one was $60 million from Spotify, and then the second deal, I mean, it was close to $100 million for this most recent deal that she did.
That's crazy.
But
I can't imagine, because, like, how I haven't been listening to Call Her Daddy for a long time. Honestly, the first thing I ever saw of Call Her Daddy was the Cole Sprouse.
Yeah.
Being cringy on there.
Yeah.
So I didn't know anything, like, prior to that. But just thinking about, like, how did we pivot from a sex podcast to, like, having what are supposed to be these, like, really professional sit-down...
I don't know.
...interviews. Like, how did that come about? Like, what episode was that, the pivot? I don't
know. And I honestly hate her podcast now, because it feels so, like, fake in a sense that, like, yes, she's getting these huge celebrities because her podcast gets a lot of streams and it's a big, like, platform, but she doesn't ask any questions that are going to make people think or make them question. I don't know, like, she's just not diving into anything. And I'm so curious as to what Chappell's team is saying and thinking now that this Call Her Daddy episode has honestly gone as negative as it could have for publicity stuff.
Like, honestly, when we first made our video talking about Chappell on the Call Her Daddy episode, our opinions were a hot take.
Yeah.
And now I feel like it's the popular opinion.
Yeah, and I will say this, like, obviously, like, we're two, like, straight white women. Like, sometimes I don't even feel comfortable, like, giving my opinions on certain things because I don't understand a lot. But whenever I heard people that were, like, part of the LGBTQ, like, whenever I heard people starting to be like, Chappell needs to, like, she doesn't have to be the face of our gay politics and like stand up for that, but like she inserted herself into the conversation, and then whenever it didn't go the way that she wanted it to, she stepped out of it. And I'm telling y'all, she's not going to be famous in a few years.
No, she's not. She's not.
I think she's, my God, going back to the first ever episode, Jill.
She's just not cut out for this.
I think that she's just not cut out for this.
Us having the premonition from the very beginning.
I love that is not gonna age like milk, and it's gonna age well. I feel
we really like the amount that we laughed whenever we first like started the podcast, because like who are we? We had 11 subscribers when we first you first
we
said
had
that.
11 subscribers, and I sat here, my happy ass on this couch. I said, Chappell Roan, you're just like not cut out for this.
And like fast forward 4 months, and oh my God, you were right.
Yeah.
The whole internet is like, and not that I'm like, yay, we need to all turn on her, but she's really not giving the energy of someone who is like able to deal with this. And or it's like, it makes me crazy because I'm like, just don't go on Call Her Daddy. Like, don't go on podcasts that are supposed to be so personal and expose and whatever. Like, don't do that if you don't want people to hate you.
And about like her saying, you know, why do people look at me for politics and stuff? It is like, I heard a take, I don't know if it was from Adam or somebody, but they were talking about how, you know, she built her whole brand and career on drag queens and being gay and like those are political subjects. And so she used it to her advantage all of those years to get to where she is.
But then won't stand up.
Yeah, and then won't stand up when things are happening, you know, and denounce things. And
honestly, like, if you think about the time that she blew up and then look at the climate of, like, our country, like, politically right now, it's crazy. Like, it's honestly crazy that she isn't saying something.
I've seen people in comments saying that she's from a Midwest town and she probably was just like the most liberal person in her Midwest town. So she like kind of thought she was liberal, but she's actually kind of like a closeted Republican.
Yeah. And people like try to hate on people that think that. I could totally see, like, she was raised in a place that is that way. Like, she, believe it or not, you can be a lesbian and be a conservative at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, people are not one-dimensional. Like, there are multiple, like, sides and different beliefs that people can have. And, like, I don't know. I mean, I just thought it was interesting to hear someone point out, like, yes, Chappell is out of touch and, like, very unlikable in that interview on her own, but with the right interviewer, that could have at least been an interesting conversation.
And it could have taken turns, you know, and she could have like redeemed herself through that, possibly.
I'm trying to think. There was a I forget whose take it was, but they were just pointing out too, like, on Call Her Daddy, like, people are tuning in for the guests. So, like, the audience of each episode is catered to that person that she's bringing on. So, like, you've got, like, Alex Cooper telling, like, Ellen Pompeo, like, I'm the #1 Grey's Anatomy fan. And it's, like, it dilutes because she does that for every single person that comes on there.
And that she kind of wants to be friends and wants them to like her. Like, through, like, after the interview. It's, like, as if she wants them to want to, like, go get dinner with her sometime or something instead of doing her job.
I just think it's interesting too, the fallout with Alex Cooper and Alex Earl happened not that long ago, and now I'm seeing all of this negative backlash. But remember, we talked about how the PR person that worked for Unwell left when Alex Earl left, and then you have this big negative public thing happen with Call Her Daddy and Chappell Roan. And I've also seen people talking about how her husband, Alex Cooper's husband, like, she portrays herself as this feminist and, like, she stands up for women and blah, blah, blah. But if you look at the inner workings of her company, it's all men. And ever since she's been with her husband, he controls the company. And not in a bad way, but, like, if you were the Unwell Network, call her daddy, brought up on the idea of like empowering women. Wouldn't you want to empower strong women that could be more fit for the jobs?
Yeah, to like work for you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But there was apparently like a negative piece supposed to come out about her, whatever, and like that was going to be a part of it. I don't know if it ever will. It was a Dumois, the piece that was going to come out. Someone had like told her about it, but you know, it may never even be released. But it's just interesting that PR person left unwell. Now all this bad stuff is happening. Like maybe that woman was just really good at her job and we didn't even know all the work she was doing behind the scenes, but who knows?
Hi, I'm Jill.
And I'm Alyssa.
And you just watched a clip from Glitter Gel Pen.
We upload new episodes every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And we also upload clips like the one you just watched 3 times a week.
Subscribe for more.